Your Excellencies, Lords, Member of Parliament, community leaders, charity workers, diplomats, I'm very thankful to all of you coming and gracing this occasion of 30th anniversary of Third World Solidarity. As Mr. has said, Honorary Alderman Buckmaster, that when we started, we never thought that this will grow such a big organization working for international and national issues, whether it is peace, justice, tolerance. And when I look around today's world and 30 years ago world, I think today's world is much more disturbed than it was 30 years ago. I hope in next few years it will be much better than it is today, because I think it is our duty, your duty, and everybody's duty that we continue working for peace, justice, and tolerance and democracy in the world. I'm very pleased that there are a lot of people who are supporting Third World Solidarity. Third World Solidarity will not be what it is today without you. So please give yourself a big hand of clap. And when I look around, you can find people from Ethiopia, you can find people from Pakistan, India, Reading, all over the world. You can find people who believe in Islam. You can find people who believe in Christianity, Judaism, or any religion. And people who don't believe in anything. And Saundra is one of the examples. I wouldn't name anybody else. But I think it is very important that we embrace everybody, whatever faith, whatever background, whatever. And what a best example to hold the 30th anniversary in the Royal Borough of Kensington, Chelsea, Mayor Parlour, because our motto is work together and you will succeed. I hope we will succeed. A better world for our children, better than what our parents and we are leaving for our children and grandchildren. Let's work together for peace, justice, and tolerance. And I think if you have supported me for the past 30 years, and there are councillor, parliamentarian, business, community, anybody, I wouldn't name, otherwise it will be a very long time till I finish, because there are a lot of people here, but there are a lot of people out there who are supporting us as well. So can I request?
When Mushtaq said he wanted to found Third World Solidarity, lots of people would have said, great idea, wonderful, go ahead, Mushtaq. I'm thinking, well, I wonder how long it'll last. Well, here we are, 30 years on, and Mushtaq and Third World Solidarity is still going well. At a time of religious and national tensions, which I must say I find sadly appear to be getting more difficult over the recent years, nothing could be more important than we have organisations like Third World Solidarity, preaching tolerance and understanding. Not just talking to people, but listening to people and letting people express their views in a tolerant and rational manner. You know, Harold Macmillan, the former British Prime Minister, said that jaw is better than war. Well, that was a very typical Harold Macmillan phrase, but how true it actually is, and how wonderful it is that here is Third World Solidarity. Mushtaq, you planted the seed and it's grown into a very fine tree. But times move on, and here is Saundra, Satterlee, who's now taking over the reins and doing things well done. You'll be pleased to know I don't intend to go on any further. I'm just really here to say thank you all for coming. On behalf of everybody here at Third World Solidarity and the Mayor, welcome you to the Parlour. And now I'm going to ask Mushtaq to come along and take over. Mushtaq.
Thank you very much, Christopher. I think there are two men, and then there will be two men afterwards. So I'm going to request a female parliamentarian who remembered this event. after even a long time, in her busy schedule, she has come here. Can I invite Barrister Yasmin Qureshi, Member of Parliament from Bolton, to say a few words on Third World Solidarity.
Can I just say firstly, I really want to thank Mushtaq Lasharie and Dave Anderson, my Labour colleague, for the very hard work they have been doing over the years in promoting and pushing the Third World Solidarity in Parliament. And I know Dave is standing there at the back. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work that you've been doing. I think those of you who know Mushtaq know that he rings you up and catches you wherever he can to make sure to remember to turn up at the events. And that is the key of one of the reasons why an organisation becomes very successful, because of people who are involved in running it. I'm sure that the new chair, the person going to be involved in running, I'm sure she has equally the same amount of tenacity, and I'm sure she will do a great job as well. I wanted to be here today because this is 30th anniversary, and I think it's really important, if you look at the word there, standing for justice, peace, democracy and equality of nations and people, it's really very pertinent to present day time and the challenges internationally the whole world is facing. Earlier I was being interviewed by one of the channels, and one of the things I said, and I sincerely believe this, it's not and things, if they actually spent that money in most of the countries and the parts of the world where often you get conflict and instability, you probably wouldn't have a problem, and I'm sure an organisation like Third World Solidarity wouldn't need to exist, because there would be that peace and justice. And I therefore do think sometimes how we use our resources, we really need to think about it, and maybe this is where perhaps a group of distinguished people here can perhaps start lobbying governments and other organisations that maybe we, the whole world, needs to look at this globally and holistically, and maybe the way we spend our monies on things which actually don't help and we don't need, whereas if we spend that money, we could bring education, we could get rid of poverty, we could have job opportunities, we can give people self-respect, we can have a rule of law, and I really genuinely believe that everything else will actually resolve itself. So, I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been involved in Third World Solidarity. As Mushtaq said, there are many people, and it's something difficult to start listing everyone in case you offend some. But I think Mushtaq and they had to be mentioned, because certainly, when I think of Third World Solidarity, they're the two people I think of automatically. So thank you for all the work you're doing, and thank you to everyone who has been working, and of course, I'm sure the organisation.
My next speaker is the chairman of All-Party Parliamentary Group, but I want to thank a few people before I invite him. I really thank Andy Slaughter, the Member of Parliament for Hammersmith, who is a shadow justice minister. He has made effort to come here and is with us. Can I give him a big hand? Can I also thank the UK PCI former two presidents, Chaudhry Muzaffar and Naheed, who has done, and Ikram Khan is standing, who is a founder, and also Southside Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, and FERD, and many other organizations. Can I invite, and I'm hoping Lord Sheikh will come, Christopher, to support and represent the Conservative Party, but there is a 3-line whip in House of Lords. I don't know what is happening today in House of Lords, but he still promised that he will come. Can I invite Dave Nelson, Member of Parliament from Bladen? We couldn't achieve what we have achieved in the last many years if Dave was not solidly behind this. Dave Nelson, Member of Parliament from Bladen.
I'll give him while I'm ahead. And I thank everybody who hasn't worn a duty vote night. Slaughter might be the only one who wasn't properly dressed. So thank you for that, first and foremost. Just thank you so much. Let us have the use of this building again. 30 years ago, this thing started. 30 years ago, I was still a minor. And I come from a tradition of internationalism and solidarity. And I came into this place, Martin Saundra, who I was talking to, a gentleman from Reading, who was then paid for Reading, said to me, would you meet a friend of mine who he needs a little bit of help to get this group going in Parliament? And anybody went by a little bit of help. But we've done some tremendous work ever since. And I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, the great thing about the group we run, it does what it says on the tin. That's exactly what we try and do at every meeting, every event we have. And we always make the point that when we have meetings, we tell everybody to begin the meeting. We not always agree with each other. We will not allow people, you can argue, but we don't allow any dissent, we don't allow anybody to be shouted down. And that's the way we operate. I'm wearing a tie, which is, I'm the Vice Chairman of the British Irish Parliamentary Assembly. 3 weekends ago I was in Dublin commemorating the H&O uprising, when Irish citizens fought against British soldiers and 400 people were killed. And today we have an assembly of British, Irish, Scots, Welsh, people from the Channel Islands, other islands in this country, who come together and work in the way that we work. And we can do things like that if we work together. I came in here tonight, I knew that the people I had met, and the first 2 gentlemen I was introduced to was a gentleman from Croatia and a gentleman from Japan. And bringing people together like this gives you the opportunity to avoid scenarios and situations where you kill each other instead of talking to each other, where you treat people like human beings, because we are all the same under the skin, no matter what some people might say to you. I'm really, really pleased to be here today to commemorate 30 years of this work. I hope we can come back in 30 years' time. A little bit of luck, we might have a Labour administration in Kensington by then, we might have one in Parliament as well. We'll see. But thank you so much, enjoy it tonight. And I believe it's a fundraiser, Mushtaq. So get your checkbook, so thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. At the outset, I would like to thank Honorary Alderman Lasharie and Mr. Christopher Buckmaster for their very kind invitation to come here and speak to you this evening. I've known Alderman Lasharie. I used to have long hair when I know him, and look at me now. So I've known him for many years, and although I've got a very heavy parliamentary workload, I've decided to come here, and but I may have to leave shortly. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not dressed up like Alderman Lasharie. He puts me to shame, but please accept me as I am, because I have got to go back to Parliament. Now, I've spoken regularly at the Third World Solidarity's meetings, organised in the Houses of Parliament, and I fully support their objectives. It's an active group, and I would like to commend them on their various activities. Alderman Lasharie just alluded to some of the activities. A very robust group, and I'd like to commend them on everything they do undertake. I understand that the organisation has its headquarters in the United Kingdom, and then it branches out and undertakes work in other parts of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we are lucky to live in an affluent country, but we must appreciate problems that occur in developing countries and do all we can to improve the predicament and position of people in these countries. Much of the work, the Third World Solidarity, resonates strongly with me. I've traveled in many countries, and obviously, and I'm concerned about issues which I think are mentioned here, issues of justice, peace, democracy, and equality of nations and of people. So these objectives, these points do resonate my own views about how we should behave. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born in Kenya, and I was brought up in Uganda, and I maintained very close connections with a number of African countries. Just a few months ago, I visited Ethiopia, and about 4 weeks ago, I visited Sudan. I prepared an extensive report covering a number of issues and development in these countries. For example, I've covered health matters relating to diseases, particularly malaria, neglected tropical diseases, water hygiene, and the procurement of medicine. There are problems relating getting medicines in Sudan because of the sanctions applied by the United States. I've also looked at cultural challenges such as forced marriages, female genital mutilation, and other human rights issues. And I know, Alderman, you're also concerned with human rights issues. So obviously, I think we really need to see how the situation in some of the countries can be improved. We are no longer a colonial power, but I think we can exercise our what I call soft powers in getting things right. I've spoken on matters of conflict across Africa and the Middle East. In this regard, I note that the group feels that even the most complex disputes should be resolved without recourse to armed conflict. That is actually on your website, Alderman. Am I right in saying this? Which is something to be commended again. So I think this is important because we need to combat, oppose violence and extremism. There are a lot of things happening in Middle East and other African countries, and we need to obviously, wherever we can, try to resolve disputes by mediation. Now, I am also actively involved in promoting religious harmony and interfaith dialogue. In fact, I am a patron of 6 organizations which are actively involved in interfaith dialogue, and I believe that tolerance, understanding between communities help them to overcome challenges. This will obviously will ultimately improve all our lives. So I was pleased when I looked at the card which the Alderman sent me. It says, Third World Solidarity, bringing people together. So absolutely first-class motto. So obviously resonate my own views about getting people together. And obviously there is the all-party parliamentary group for Third World Solidarity, and understands a cross-party operation within the British Parliament. And I hope that this group and your own group move forward from strength to strength. The other thing I noticed was the Third World Solidarity membership is open to everyone. It's a democratic organization. Its membership is open to all who wish to play their part, irrespective of nationality, culture, or religion. I think that's indeed a very good point to bear in mind. I'm proud to say that we in the United Kingdom do care about international development. In fact, it's something we've discussed in Parliament, and that is that we are spending 0.7% of our GDP on overseas aid, and in fact it's enshrined now in the British law. We are in fact the first G7 country to meet this spending target. I think we all should be proud of what we do to improve the situation and predicament of people overseas. And I hope very much that what we do could perhaps be followed by other countries in the world. It's important that we help communities around the world to find their own feet, tackle their own challenges, and grow themselves out of poverty and other problems. Thank you very much indeed.
24th anniversary when Secretary of State for DFID committed himself, Cllr.Beinazir, that we will achieve 0.7% of GDP for aid to the developing world. Can I once again thank everybody for coming, and I hope we will continue working for a better world. The dinner will be served in another room. If you are on the list, fine. If you're not there, please ask me. There are spare seats I have managed to put on the last table, which is my table, and you can join me, whosoever is not on the list. Thank you very much for coming, and enjoy the evening.
Biggest in Europe. And it's British, and it's there, and the British ambassador. We're going to give you a little bit.